The special forces of Burkina Faso, they've been getting reports for the past 2 days. I told you yesterday that something is going kinetic. So this is in the northeastern part of Burkina Faso, bordering Niger Republic. So they deployed part of the Fosatec team to join the special forces to launch this offensive assault. Now, there was a gradual encirclement that has been conducted for days. Now, the reason why this encirclement had been done is that the terrorists could have easily escaped into Niger Republic. So they actually blocked everywhere. So it was a decisive moment where the terrorists had to, okay, either you fight or you flee. If you flee, you're already surrounded. So before the infantry actually moved in, there were multiple strikes that were launched into the Gairi forest. You could actually see the ripple effect of the shock wave of these TNTs. The leaves were falling on everything. You can see that all the casualties that were posted on our Telegram channel, you can see that there were leaves. Some of them were even submerged under the leaves, right? It was because of the shock waves of the TNT that actually dropped on them, according to the report we got. So, in this operation, 41 jihadists were neutralized. 40 AK-47 were recovered, whereas 11 of these AK-47 were in poor condition. You can see the image of everything right here. 1 PKM rifle was recovered. 3 of the PKM rifles were completely destroyed. 1 RPG was recovered. Several bullet bank was recovered. 91 AK-47 mags were recovered. 42 motorcycles were recovered. 13,200 CFA franc were equally recovered. 18 phones and several satellite phones were recovered, and more of the things that were recovered was the normal saline and all of that. But if you want to see the casualties, the demonstration, the ones that did their hand like this, some of them, the strike was so bad to the point where, those demonstrations had to get severed. I don't know, you will actually see the description. I don't have to explain it here so that I don't abuse the policy. So it was one hell of a spurious assault. So at the end of the day, they've been recovered, and the motorcycles, and to me, this is what I feel. If you're a Burkinabe right now, right, I think with the number of neutralization we've seen in Burkina Faso, I can tell you categorically that at this point, every Burkina Faso citizen, at least active youth, a man, can have a rifle for a very, very cheap price. In fact, it can become so cheap right now, because if you look at the number of, firearms that have actually been recovered from these elements, we are having something that looks like a redistribution, agenda, in my own opinion, because whoever is giving them these things, it's like you are giving them back to the Burkinabe army. Or because according to even, Western sources like this, during Afrique, they actually quoted that enormous ammunitions were recovered by the Burkinabean forces. And you have to understand that this region right now, for a while now, the elements will not even dare to come back into this region, because they know what time it is. Everything is getting super kinetic. And as we heard, that the search party continues, because a lot of them were trying to escape. And why they were trying to escape, they fell into the hands of the infantry that already encircled them. Some of them still made several strides before they fell off, even after they got hit. Some of these people, they abuse a lot of, what I'm talking about. So even when they get pierced, it doesn't really affect them too much. You understand? I mean, in terms of the pain they feel pressure, but they might not feel pain at the time. But out of the fact that they might be losing several plasmas and red cell, they might just end up falling somewhere along that line. So that was a big military success by the Burkinabe armed forces. Now on the other side, in the Sikasso region of Mali, something very, very kinetic happened this morning. So the JNIM actually got a clear intel that the Malian armed forces were actually escorting some convoy. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let me describe this convoy. Have a look at this convoy here. Now, this is a long convoy, but it's not as long as it used to be. Before, what we saw in Mali was the Malian armed forces, the Malian government, let me just say, they want to bring in all the convoys that would be needed to supply fuel to the Malian people, right? So they actually learned after several operations that, the convoy line is so long that, hydrocarbon is very, very highly inflammable. And, the military escorts will be at the front and they will be at the rear flank. The fighter jets fly, the helicopters fly back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So it's always like the jihadists always have this advantage because they know this is a clean shot, and before you know, the tanker blast everywhere, goes confused and all of that. So this time around, the number of escorts that followed the tankers were actually, good enough, in terms of manpower and everything. The convoy was actually fortified. And ladies and gentlemen, we got the receipt. Now, for the first time, this was in the Sikasso region. So when this convoy was about to enter the Sikasso region, they were in the outskirts of Sikasso. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? They were already in the forest. We've actually posted the video on our Telegram this morning. People actually saw when one of the JNIM guy was crying. They were actually crying for one of them. That guy looked something like those Fulani tribe, they call the Muzungus. Those ones that used to live in the forest, the wicked ones, right? They were fair in complexion, they had this type of hair, They were crying because, he has already been brushed, several injuries in his arm. Then I think some part of his the right side of his, cervical and all of that. So he got pierced very, very, bad. And he fell off and there were multiple casualties at the end of the day. They got struck, targeted strikes. And after all, the soldiers from the convoy, they actually disembarked and they made sure that they did a very, very devastating job on these guys. And at the end of the day, after they cleared out these elements, the convoy moved into Sikasso for free. And you can see that the people of Sikasso are so happy. Now, and apart from that, Russia has actually promised that they will be giving Mali exactly what they need now. Liquefied natural gas, the number of fuel in terms of a metric ton that the Malian people need, they will continue to supply it. Every time they need it, they will supply it, and it will be coming with the cargo, air flights and all of that. So, to me, I think the Russians just improved their hydrocarbon market because these things are supposed to be for some of the African countries that had fuel, right? But my own opinion is that it is even some of these people that Mali procures this fuel from that will inform these jihadists that they are already coming, block them. A lot of people they don't actually look at things from that perspective. But I can tell you, it is out there spirit the agents of this ECOWAS blocks are. I'm being honest here. ECOWAS is a done and dusted alliance. If you look at the level of casualty that was recorded in Ivory Coast for Alassane Ouattara to come out on top in this election, jeez. We've actually posted all those things on our Telegram channel. So for me, I think going forward, anybody that really, really wants any sort of liberation in West Africa, I think ECOWAS has actually outlived its purpose. I think the new alliance right now, that is worth emulating, is actually the AES alliance. They're actually showing, they're showing the capabilities that they have, what it takes to match the current trend of, this insurgency. So that is what happened in Mali today. And, several tankers continue to come into Mali. And, they continue to bring this propaganda of there is fuel blockade in Mali. So the question now to the likes of Mali Konate and the enemies of the Malian state is, what do you want to say now? Right? What would you say now? Now let's turn it up a little bit to the Nigerian chores. So last night, the ISWAP, the Islamic State in West African province, you know, the Nigerian army has been showing a lot of videos. Kudos to our army. They've been very, very resilient. They've actually done a very, very fantastic job lately in Kebbi State, in Borno State, in Yobe State. You know, the Nigerian army, in my own opinion, has been seriously stretched recently. Plus, on top of that, the fact that we are hearing that the military now are considering deploying them with some, you know, repentant Boko Haram. I don't know what type of government would try to infiltrate the army like that. Don't do them like that. If they say that they are capable enough of handling the situation on their own, let them do their thing. Why should anybody even meddle in these people's business? Most especially the structure of their function. You know, it's very, very bad. So, yesterday, the Islamic State in West African province actually released a video which they tagged their own supposed counter-offensive against the Nigerian army. They actually attacked a Nigerian army base. Ladies and gentlemen, it was spurious kinetic. Like this, it was everywhere, was all over. In the video, we've actually dropped it on our Telegram channel. You could actually see some vehicles that were actually, you know, in flames and all of that. It was serious. It was serious. The buildings were, you know, up in smokes and all of that. But, you know, when you look at the number of rifles that this jihadist actually posted at the end of the video, which you can see here, you will see that it doesn't complement the storyline. According to the jihadist, it said 7 Nigerian troops were injured, right? But they didn't give us the level of injury, right? How bad the damage was. No, there was nothing like that. And they said they were able to neutralize 3 troops. But if you look at that video critically, and you look at the number of loots they displayed at the end of the video that they were able to capture, you would actually have a second thought. Is this a new video? Is it current? Is it reliable enough? Because if you say you injure 7, right? You injure 7 and you neutralize 3. So how did you get that number of AK-47 rifle? How many troops were in that camp at the time? And since it was a night operation, right? The question is, everything it's not coherent. So I don't know, but I will wait for the information from the defense headquarters. Then we'll collaborate the two. I will try to find, you know, the main of everything. So, but for now, we just want to give you the fastest updates on the information. There are a lot of bloggers that have actually been sharing this information, and, you know, they've been talking and saying that the Nigerian army, you know, were defeated, right? I don't know how to feel about the Nigerian military and their, you know, modus operandi and how they dispatch their operation. But based on what I've seen from these guys recently, I can actually tell you that I'm seeing so much effectiveness from the Nigerian army. We all saw, you know, it together, and those of you that are on our Telegram channel, you actually saw what the Nigerian army, you know, what they are capable of doing. But the ISWAP actually said they launched the counter-offensive. Now, I have to let you know something. Most of the time, even when the Nigerian armed forces, when they actually defeat these elements, you will have some bloggers saying that it was a back and forth thing. This one record casualty, that one record casualty. Bro, this is a gunfight, right? This is a kinetic situation. This is spurious action going on here. You know, some of these bloggers just talk anyhow. You've never carried a firearm before. You've never had to be on the line of contact before. Man, when I look at the way these people talk about these things, you are talking about people that risk it all. I know that's what they signed up for, but a real man is out there fighting for your peace and freedom. The best you can give to these guys is respect. to a certain group, like to a reasonable extent, because I can tell you these people are within 1 second of life and death. So why should anybody come and try to, you might be trying to give information to the people, but to whom's interest are you serving, right? So ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the number of weapons that the jihadis actually posted and every other thing, I don't think I can trust, their report and all of that. But, we will wait and we will get multiple information. We'll collaborate everything together. I will try to bring the final, update to you. What really, really happened, we'll bring it out. So again, the Nigerian army, just some hours after this post from the ISWAP, they actually launched a clear out operation in Borno State. And according to the information we got, they actually got some elements and they took them out. So it's a clear out operation. So definitely most of the time it's not going to be multiple casualties like that. But based on the pictures that they gave us, we can't, based on YouTube policy, we can't drop these things here. You can actually check the description or check the #1 comment you will find in the comment section. You are going to see our Telegram link. You can see everything right there. Kudos to the Nigerian Armed Forces, those that have left their family behind, that have spent months. Most of them that have even fallen on the wrong side of some political decisions. Because some of these people have overstayed on the front line. And a lot of civilians think this is a joke. They don't even think about the mental state of these guys. Man, I give a lot of credit to you. Kudos to the Nigerian army. The ones that stay out there so that we can have peace. So that you and I can be where we are today. So I really want to appreciate the hard work they put in. So finally, we have an information. Mali has now closed its borders with Mauritania. And some hours after they closed this border, the Mauritanian officials are now coming to Mali. They said they want to open some talks with Mali, that they want to discuss, because it will affect the livestock in Mauritania and it will really, really affect the Mauritanian herders. Now, if the nomads in Mauritania know that the decision of, if the Mauritanian government know that any wrong decision from them against Mali will affect their citizens, why have they been acting out of line? If you know Mali is so important to you, why have you been, entertaining agents of destabilization to the Sahel? I don't know how to feel about this situation, but the onus should be on the Malian hierarchy. We trust the decision of Assimi Goïta that he has the capability to make the best decision for his people, the Malian people, our people. So at the end of the day, God bless the AES, God bless the African people, and God bless our fathers and mothers and everyone in the diaspora, and God bless everyone in the Android community. This is the best information that we've been able to gather and bring forth to your screen today. As we get more updates, we'll continue to bring them to you. It's your boy 72 Android signing out. Enough said, but before I go, you already know what it is. Stay in touch. We'll continue to bring this information to your screen. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Salute.